sort of like corporate governance and how you make sure you minimize risk in an organization. So we use a registered US LLC to develop our smart contracts. People who develop don't then control the contracts. So we've got these sort of like measures and controls in there, which means that we're super solid as an organization. And then we've got actually a fantastic team that works around us. It is a culture shock, definitely. I'd say the hardest part about starting a project, to be completely honest, is I remember people saying this when we were pre-sale back in March last year. People would say, "Oh, well, you haven't launched yet," and I thought, "Well, yeah, but I've got all the pressure of the pre-sale and launch and all of this." But when you've just got this chart that's hanging over you like day in, day out, and it's a very irrational space, that's tough. It took a lot of getting used to, I'll be honest. But
I guess the social pressures as well, really, of your lifestyle. And, when you are consciously always thinking about charts and what's coming next, at least with work, normally you can switch off at weekends, you can have the evenings.
Yeah.
With crypto, it's 24 hours. So hats off to you. It sounds like you're doing a tremendous job. Let's talk about your role within
I've got children
MDB.
as well.
Oh, sorry,
I was just going to say, Jamie, I've got children. I'm a family man, and I think that's a really important part of keeping you grounded, because no matter what's going on around you, whether it's Terra Luna, Celsius, FTX, you've got to get up and get the kids to nursery and have breakfast and spend time with your family. And I think that's really important to keep you grounded. Actually, I think if I was a single young man, it probably would have been a lot harder to stay sort of to keep it together, if I'm honest.
That's really interesting that you say that. I mean, personally, I've probably had very similar. I've not got kids. It's me and my wife. We've been traveling, like we said earlier on the call. I've suffered from extreme burnout where for months at a time, I will just go content crazy. And then some days I'll wake up like, oh, I've got to make a video today. So I think it's really to be consciously aware of kind of your energy, your attention span, your time to get the best output is a great thing. So thank you so much for alluding to that. I mean, let's talk about MDB a little bit now, and your role within it and how long you've been within.
So, sorry, Jamie, I was losing you slightly there. So you said talk about my role within the MDB and how long
You've been within that role, and maybe kind of what that entails on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. So look, it's my baby. You asked a bit about sort of me and what I'm like. I'm a self-confessed addict. When I do something, I get obsessed with it. I become addicted to it, and that so I try and stay away from things that are less constructive. I'd eat pizza every day for the rest of my life if I could get away with it. So I try and stay away from things that are less constructive and put it in. So I'll start running, then I'm running marathons. I get into crypto, and then I'm just absolutely obsessed with it. So from a personal point of view, it's my baby, it's my design, and I'm a very lead from the front sort of person. So I'm not I'm not sort of an airs and graces person, and to be honest, I could be a billionaire and I would just be in the mix every day, because I think life's really short actually, and you've got to do things for how they make you feel in the here and now. So that's me. My day-to-day job is I'm lots of commercial experience, so let's be honest, I'm a leader. I have to make sure we've got the right people in the organization. I need to make sure we're executing our strategy. I need to make sure that we're playing things very safe, and we're protecting sort of people's trust in us long term. And then my job is to make sure that we're always kind of pushing for more in the organization and getting out there selling as much as possible.
I mean, let's talk about MDB. What does it actually stand for? Because I've got written down here, make DeFi better. How did you come up with that name?
It was actually our second name. We changed our name because it was very divisive. So our first name was actually called, and our token on the contract, it still says it was called $1 Million Baby. And a lot of people found that a turn off because it sounded a bit like a Moon Boy token. Where it came from was a really sort of like, it was from a good place. And what it was, so if you look at the way liquidity pools and AMMs work, and you add psychology to that, they're horrible things, to be honest, right? They're formulas that send people wild. And that's why when all the dust has settled after a project has been through its cycle, a very small number of people make money and lots of people lose money. And the name $1 Million Baby actually came from the idea was that the protocol is designed in a way that rather than making a couple of people tens of millions, it could make tens of people millionaires. It could make hundreds of millionaires. And so $1 Million Baby, that's where it came from. It was a bit too playful for some people. So and our big thing is what we wanted to do. We're not going to change the space. We're not going to change everyone else, but we wanted to be an example of what is possible within the space. And so Make DeFi Better was a good way of using the same acronym, pivoting a little bit from a playful name. And and that's what we're about. So when we sit down as a team, we think, are we setting an example for others within this space? And are we making it harder for other projects that don't maintain the same standards? That's what we live to do. So, our investors are very critical. They have really high expectations, and that's what we live to do.
I mean, for me, something that stands out is every leader, whether that be project, person, company, they always have a strong strap line, don't they? And your strap line is clearly within your name. And I like that. It makes me smile when I saw it. I was like, Make DeFi Better. I like it. It's a little bit different. It's nice. But can you summarize kind of what Make DeFi Better actually does, who they are?
Yeah.
In a really brief, high level, view, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So we developed this system. We called it Capital Synergy. And what Capital Synergy was our solution to this problem of the way automatic market makers and liquidity pools work, which caused these huge lurches. And we looked, apart from sort of like team sort of incompetence, there's other things that kill protocols. So a lack of volume can kill a protocol. Very difficult to turn it around once momentum's gone. A big whale sells, and they just, again, it kills the momentum very hard for a project to come back. So we kind of studied this, and the capital synergy model tackles all of those problems. And so we went to the market. We raised sort of 1.8 million, and we put a relatively small amount of that in the liquidity pool at the time. It was $300,000, and we put 1.5 million in the trust fund. And the fund earns yield, which buys back and burns the token, but it's very deflationary. So and it's a tax token, which isn't popular with a lot of people. But look at our chart, and it proves the system works in the worst of conditions. And this capital synergy model, what it basically does is it means that if a whale sells, they're going to pay a load of taxes which go into the trust fund, and the yield from those taxes help to recover the price and also burn supply. So we burned sort of 20% of our supply in our first 9 months.
It's incredible, by the way.
Yeah, and we're just systematically obsessed with doing that, and we've 5-6x the price in that time as well. And then you've got farming and staking. So if you provide and everything has like this barrier to entry within the system, which some people, to be honest, they're like, oh, I don't like taxes, but it's designed really carefully so that if you farm, because there's a tax to go into the farm, it kind of deters other short-term speculators. So our APY in the farms have been over 100% for over 6 months consistently.
No way.
And normally, anyone who knows DeFi knows that normally, APY high, price down. But we've achieved the holy grail of price appreciation, and it's pumping out rewards that is just almost impossible to get sustainably anywhere else. So you can stake or you can farm, and that's really our system. And you've just got this safety blanket in the protocol, which drives growth. Because as you reduce supply and you increase your funds, exponential backing grows exponentially. But then you've also got this security blanket, because if the price was like minus 90%, the trust fund, which is now, I said it's 1.5, it's sort of like 2.6, 2.8 million now. The trust fund could buy so much of the protocol supply that it would just, half the supply and return the price in one go. And that's the level of security that you've got within the protocol.
Well, I mean, being deflationary is an exciting thing for me because it drives value long term. If you truly understand what you're getting into when you purchase a deflationary token, you understand that supply is going to reduce, and when demand then increases, the price increases. As an equation to that. Something that I do want to kind of touch on, and you alluded to it, very, very kind of high level. On a low level, like for everybody that may be listening to this, for the very first time. Like, where can they go and find it? Because for me, this sounds incredible when we're talking about, like a deflationary token, which, by the way, you told me before, it's 6x from pre-sale, even in this current market, and you've burned 20% of its supply in 9 months, which is an outstanding stat. Where can we find it?
Fundamentals are unreal.
Yeah,
unreal,
I mean,
and we're still what, 11 million market cap. We're tiny. Yeah.
I mean, where can we find it? Like, where can we go and find more information about that? And because I know that's not what we're here to talk about today, but it's really good that people get an understanding that you've been there and you've done it before. You've been on the market for a long time and you've achieved.
I think it's a great question though, because we're obviously going to talk about other things, but actually within this market, few people can. I always say we're like the shrimp boat in Forrest Gump, where there's that huge storm and they just happen to survive it. And we launched a week before Terra Luna, and it's really hard to find a project that's performed the way we have, and that's just because the fundamentals are so strong. So we've actually we've just launched. I'm trying to remember if it's V3 or V4 of our website, because we're always working on improving what we do. So we just launched our latest version of the website today, which is mdb.fund. So mdb.fund. Go in there. Our app is Xenia, which is the Greek goddess of giving and hospitality, and that's where you can see our products, and that's where you can get involved. Honestly, go into our community. I would guess there's probably at least 1,000 investors in our community. If they hadn't found MDB in the last 9 months, they wouldn't even be in DeFi anymore. It was last chance saloon for them, with so many projects failing. And I think that there's a lot of people wouldn't even be in the industry anymore if they hadn't found our project.
Well, I mean, that's great. And if you do want to go and check it out, mdb.fund, go and check that out and get a little bit more background. And if you do want more information, then please go and ask them within the community. I'm going to go and join their community channels after this. Probably try and have a bit of fun with the community team as well. Yeah. But before we move on to what
things, sorry, Jamie, we have like something called the Millionaires Club, which is just a playful name. You don't need to pay anything to join it. You just need to own $500 of MDB, and then you can just connect your wallet. And in the Discord channel, our Discord is really busy. It's a really lively place. We do monthly giveaways, we do weekly farm giveaways for people that zap into the farms and provide liquidity. We have a life coach who's on retainer, who does 2 sessions a month, because investing's stressful, and she's an Australian lady, and she tells everybody to get their shit together, which is like a really powerful statement. And then we have people come along who do sessions around security and making sure you're looking after yourself in DeFi. So it's from a community perspective, it's absolutely rock solid.
I mean, it's great to see some new people on the stream putting comments in. I am reading them. And if you have got questions, I will ask them to Danny throughout the stream. So thank you very much. If you are wondering why we're getting the word FOXIFY coming in the comment section, it will become clearer later on. But just to make you familiar with the mechanism here on Binance, it's an engage and view to earn mechanism. So the more people that put that comment in, the more BUSD that you earn. So good luck with that. Hopefully you enjoy taking part in this conversation, and do feel free to fire your questions in. Now, Danny, before we come on to what we're here to talk about today, it's been a blooming stressful 12 months within the market, hasn't it? So we're not seeing many people build right now. And when I say that, build something that actually matters. There's a lot of projects that are looking for quick cash. Yeah, well, that's right. There's a lot of people out there looking for quick cash, and they're not really thinking this. And I already know the answer to this. Much more different.
I suppose any organization, it always comes from the top, and that means that if we don't get things right, that's on me. But at the same time, the vision has to come from me as well. And personally, I'm not interested in spending my years on this planet running with the pack. It doesn't interest me at all. What a waste of the opportunity. So for me, I'm always looking at the market, looking at opportunities or problems, and thinking, well, how can we fix this, and how can we be completely different? And when I see people just cookie cutter in the same thing, it drives me mad, to be honest. I don't know how people turn up for work every day to do that. And so that's our motivation is, we want to, even though MDB's fundamentals are amazing, our chart is amazing, our performance is unreal, and we're completely blessed in this really difficult market. At the same time, we want more. We want 100x that, and then we want 1,000x that 100x, and that's just in our nature.
And for me, something that I've definitely learned in my time investing and being within the crypto spaces, and I think maybe wider afield, this is also applicable, but when markets are down in terms of, the amount of users entering that industry or that space, the real builders are found, and that's when the next big projects come about. So for me, I'm bringing it on to what we're here to talk about today. FOXIFY. Now, today's a big day for you with FOXIFY. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing it right because of my thick northern accent. I know sometimes I get things wrong and I get told off. For me, it's so refreshing to hear an organization, a person like yourself, that is building now at a time where others aren't, and frankly, for the right reasons. It would be awesome to find out more about FOXIFY. I like the name. What is it?
What is it? So FOXIFY, again, look at what's gone on in the market for the last 9 months. There's a real lack of trust in the CEX. A lot of people don't even realize that when you send money to a central exchange, you're actually saying it's your money now. You have no rights over that money. As soon as you send it to them, you've basically said it's your cash, and I hope that I get it back one day. That's within the T's and C's of all exchanges. Now, again, like the lack of trust, the failures within the market is then inhibiting the opportunity which sits behind it. If you go back to the heart of crypto, it's decentralization, it's scalability and the capability of bringing people together using smart contracts and the genius that is the blockchain. And FOXIFY is a first of its kind universal peer-to-peer trading platform, which enables me versus Jamie, Jamie versus me. No risk of the exchange going down and someone losing their money, because if Jamie thinks Bitcoin's going to go one way and I think it's going to go another, then we're prepared to take a risk on that, which is exactly what you do on a central exchange. But actually, the only person who can get the that money back out of that trade is either Jamie or me, and it's 100% trustless, decentralized, and it's really cross-border and universal. So rather than where exchanges limit what you can trade, you can literally the capability we're building with FOXIFY, you can trade any token in existence.
Wow. And when you say any token, is it really any token? So I can go on there and I can do like Bonk, for example, like a Solana. So that's incredible.
Yeah. Anything, because you don't actually need liquidity. You don't actually need that token because you're effectively speculating on the movement. So as long as it's a technical challenge, it'd be very difficult to replicate what we're doing. There's definitely some IP being built to make it possible, and we have to think about how we'd roll that out, because you start too big too quickly and it could dilute that. But yeah, the technology we're building, it could be it's great for tax tokens, because if you want a short-term speculation on a tax token, then the tax can be off-putting. But it also means that you're not looking at one platform to trade one token and on another platform. You can literally search anything off you go. That means that you could forex applies, US dollars, pounds, euros, any wrap tokens. So you got things like PaxG. If you wanted to speculate on gold, silver, platinum, anything that's got a token, which means it's limitless in terms of its potential.
So the outstanding, this is mind blowing, by the way. So the fact that let's tackle cryptocurrency first of all. Any token can be on there, and you can do the P2P against them. Then we're talking about gold. We're talking about silver. You're talking about anything with a store of value, basically. So then we can go into forex. It's incredible. So this must have took one hell of a lot of time in terms of the integrations, the development, the back end. Do you maybe want to allude to a little bit around that, because this sounds like it must have took years to develop?
Well, look, this is something we've been cooking up for a while, and it's not launching until June. So there's a lot of heavy lifting to execute it. We wouldn't be here now talking about it unless what we're doing is absolutely possible. It is technically challenging, but it also, because of the way the platform is designed, the problem is, so if you look at the way other people have tried to tackle the same issue, is that they try and be different, but then they're also trying to be the same. And so I won't name names, but some of the decentralized platforms that have had a lot of success have only got a handful of tokens, because then they go down to leverage and they need liquidity. And as soon as you need liquidity, now you've created this natural barrier for yourself. Whereas the FOXIFY platform doesn't need liquidity on it for two traders to speculate on the future value of an asset. So that really means that the technical challenge of the price oracles being able to track any token is your challenge, but you're not limited by the requirement to have liquidity on each one of the tokens.
I mean, it's truly incredible, you know, what you're suggesting that you're going to roll out here in June. Clearly, being an American company and working internationally, that also comes with legislation and, you know, those kind of procedures.
We're not American,
and regulations. By the way. Okay, LLC. You mentioned an LLC earlier.
Yeah,
so,
the developers that we use to write our smart contracts are registered LLC. So we're overseas, and in fact, so just to kind of head off the legislation question, you know, we're not handling those assets. We don't need to hold those assets. We don't. A smart contract is purely acting as a facilitator between me and you, Jamie. If anything, it's like a marketplace between two individuals, rather than you know, holding an asset or storing the value. So, you know, it doesn't have the risks of a central exchange. And actually, you know, it's from a regulation point of view, it's quite different from everything that we've seen before.
I think that'll be very refreshing for a lot of people, because in a lot of these project interviews I've done before, and a lot of feedback then in my Telegram and Discord is, how will this project stand by when regulations that are demonly come in? And I think you've answered that very well. So that's why, always a point of why I asked that question. Now, what was your motivation?
Just to touch on that as well, Jamie, the way we've designed it, thinking long term, when I hate using the word if, actually. So when we've got hundreds of millions of dollars of volume a day, it's a globally recognized brand that you see on NASCARs and at football games. It then can become 100% autonomous at that point. Yeah, it can be a 100% autonomous marketplace. So even if the landscape changed significantly over the next few years, when it's working and people are engaging with it, if we wanted to, we could just leave it to run autonomously.
That's incredible. So unbelievable. What was your actual motivation for starting FOXIFY?
Good question. Look, I'm a simple creature, and everything that I do is about reducing MDB supply and raising the price of MDB long term. And if I'm honest, whilst it's been really difficult and we've had a fantastic year since we've been launched, at the same time, you know, you've still got that. You wake up in the morning and, you know, some curly haired guy has done something on the other side of the world, and it's impacting you, right? And it's impacting sentiment, and really what we wanted to do is just take back control, be less reliant on outside factors. And FOXIFY gives MDB that. MDB is the seed investor. We're raising VC and private investment. We're not doing like a DeFi pre-sale for it. And MDB will own a significant portion of FOXIFY's native token, which earns it a significant portion of the trading fees. So therefore, MDB is going to, you know, the trust fund of MDB is going to go plus sort of 10 million. That's the plan, and be earning, you know, our goal. We want MDB to be earning 10, 50, 100, $250,000 a day from FOXIFY, and that's, you know, that's our big motivation. And we always want to change the game, and that's what we're living to do.
No, I like that a lot. You know, this is probably jumping a few steps forward before we come back, but I'm going to ask it. Would you say that now, where are we best placed? Are we best placed getting involved in MDB and sitting to wait until this releases and buying the token? Or are we best sitting back and waiting? Like, what, you know, not financial advice, of course, but where are we best positioned right now to get involved in this fantastic initiative that you're trying to roll out?
Yeah, look, I think, you know, you only need to do a little bit of DD on MDB, and, you know, if you're in this space, it means you've got an appetite for this space. If you're on Binance now, then you know, you're not here by accident. So you know, MDB is something that's really interesting to look at, regardless of what we're doing. What FOXIFY does is, on top of this ecosystem, which is, you know, been a monster versus the circumstances it's been dealt, you've then got this 1000x opportunity that's going to come. From all of the exposure that it's driving. You know, we're here today to talk about FOXIFY, and we're talking about MDB, the financial injection that it's going to give. The only way to actually, there is a little sneaky back door to get into FOXIFY before it launches, which is only by owning MDB, actually. So we're very whale friendly. We're always really tentative to our larger investors that have been with us for a long time. and the bigger the investor in MDB, the more access you're going to get to the FOXIFY token before it launches.
So this probably brings me on to the next question that I've got to ask, because that's a great way for us to know where we've got to be. Like, what gaps in the market did you identify within the market for you to come in and kind of solve?
There's a number of different things, actually. Some of it's technical. Some of it, I suppose, let me step back a little bit from the value propositions. So number one is more there's fear within the market. This takes away that fear, right? It's 100% trustless. Trading can be stressful. Yeah, you are taking risk, but you're looking for upside, and then you wake up in the morning and the exchange that you were trading on has gone pop. That's just, it's just a different level of risk that's completely unfair. So it takes away that problem. Number two, actually, people are very controversial, but the truth is that crypto is heavily manipulated on a short-term basis, which means even if you were right that you think Bitcoin is going to be plus 5% in a month, even if you're right, quite often you're getting liquidated by the I hate to use the word, but the scammy sort of movements within the market. You see sometimes it goes up so fast, down so fast, and then back to the middle. So it hasn't really moved, but everybody's been liquidated, long or short. On the FOXIFY platform, that's impossible. That can't happen, actually, because most of the platform is you're putting something on something happening at a particular point in time, right down to the block time. So it takes away that risk. And also the other problem is I'm okay. Well, I'm in the US. I'm on Binance US. I'm now in Europe. I can get Binance, but I want to trade this. I need to get on OKX. It's just apart from all the other things I've already mentioned, it's just hard, right? Blockchain exists to make things easier and simple, and because of the universal nature of FOXIFY, very easy to use, and it's also it's also limitless in terms of its capacity.
I mean, you mentioned 100% trustless. I mean, that is quite a bold statement to make. Could you maybe just touch on that a little bit more and really delve into it? Because when people are hearing 100%, that's a guarantee. So I just want people to be very clear on what you're promising here.
Yeah, it's really simple. So me and Jamie have opposing views and remember, just a little stat: 78% of traders lose money, right? So the house is always winning. It's always. I saw something the other day which said, I know we're on Binance Live and I love CZ and I love Binance, but it said it was some Binance fund and it said they're counter trading you. Well, why wouldn't you, right? When 4 out of 5 people are losing, just do the opposite and you'll win 4 out of 5 times. So it's very difficult for the little guy. And so what the platform does is it levels that playing field, because it's me or you, Jamie. There isn't, there's it isn't the house always winning, and only you or I can be the benefactor of that trade. Nobody else can access that liquidity. So once we enter that trade, it's really clear what the contract is within that trade, and only on what actually happens can one of us get paid out on that trade. So it's when we say 100% trustless, the only person who can access that capital is one of the traders when the trade's over.
I mean, that must excite you slightly, because that's a guarantee to people. And I mean, for me, when I hear the term 100%, it raises an eye in crypto, because I always was under the impression nothing could be 100% because of the nature of crypto. But when you break it down into how you just explained, then it's a very simple process. And for people to understand,
the great thing about smart contracts is that they are immutable, and you can write very final rules, right? You could write a rule that locks liquidity for 1 million years, and if it's a hard and fast rule, nobody can break that. It is possible to do it. The truth is that quite often people don't want that flexibility, especially where money is concerned. They want well, what if I want a little bit of this capital over here, or and within FOXIFY, that's impossible. It is technically impossible for anyone to access that cash other than the trader.
Now, the platform is going to have its own token, I believe. Maybe can you mention on the utility around it and how you're going to integrate that into your ecosystem?
Yeah, look, super simple, really simple. As one of our good investors say, keep it simple, simple, stupid. The token will be listed on central exchanges at launch, so anything up to 4. So we're caught in all of the central exchanges at the moment, and the token will have one single utility, which is you stake the token and you earn a share of the platform fee. So if you owned 1% of all FOXIFY tokens in existence, you would earn 1% of the platform fees, assuming that you've staked them. So it's super simple. The plan for the platform is that it pays in 50% native and 50% stable tokens as well. So yeah, really good mix there.
I mean, where is your token going to be on? Where can we access it? And when can we access it?
Yeah, look, we're talking to the top 20 exchanges at the moment. The dream would be, if I know CZ's probably tuned in, seeing as this is his platform. The dream is obviously that, we work with people like Binance Labs. It's listed on Binance from day one. But, quite frankly, we're opening up conversations with all of the top 20 exchanges, and, the bigger, the better.
Okay, maybe talk to us a little bit about the tokenomics of it or anything like that. Have you got any of that information to hand? That would be awesome to just share some of that with us.
Yeah, so look, tokenomics are like super simple, right? The token distribution is very fair. Any sort of private investors beforehand would have a linear vesting period, the same for absolutely everybody. So there's no sort of like unfair advantage there. And it's really simple. You own the FOXIFY token, you stake it on the FOXIFY platform, and you'll earn a share of platform fees. It's just a really straightforward system. No taxes on the token. So obviously, you're free to speculate without having to pay a penalty as well.
That's awesome. And 0% taxes to me is something that definitely makes me excited and happy. But it also, a lot of people don't realize this. It does help with exchange listings. It does help integrations into other networks much smoother.
Yeah.
Because frankly, there's a lot less to develop, and in the integration of getting it onto apps, it's a lot less complicated. So that is a really positive sign. For me, I think we should maybe show the video at this point before we come on to the remaining questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's one hell of a video, Danny. I mean, there's a lot of effort, a lot of work that's gone into that. I felt like I was at Disneyland or something there, or Universal Studios. It's one hell of a production that you've put together.
Our designer is a Brit, actually. He'll be super happy to hear you say that.
No, it's a great production. I mean, it's amazing. It definitely tells us what you're trying to do and achieve here. But let's talk about the branding. Do you want to talk us around the idea of it? Because FOXIFY. Now, we're not too difficult. We're familiar with the Fox in crypto, so maybe you could talk about that a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah. I suppose with a brand, you always want a bit of a story. You want something that people connect to, and it also needs to be really recognizable, unique, easy to search as well. And FOXIFY ticks all of those boxes. So it's unique for a start. It's got a huge amount of personality. If you look at the largest, the biggest successes within decentralized finance, ApeSwap, Beefy, DeFi Llama, PancakeSwap, even though that's slightly different, but everything has some sort of personality around it. With actually Bored Ape Yacht Club, Mutant Ape Yacht Club, everything has this personality around it. So we really wanted that personality. And because it's me versus you, I'm trying to outfox you, Jamie. You're trying to outfox me, and so it's FOXIFY. There's a huge part of what we're doing is very much about branding. So we're hitting shows: London, Dubai, Istanbul, Austin, Texas, and on top of that, we've got this huge affiliate network that we're building as well. And and you can be in teams. So an affiliate could be a project, or it could be an influencer, and you can be in teams, and there's head-to-head tournaments, there's individual standings. So having that brand and personality that's easily recognizable and people can connect to is super important. You could imagine it on a NASCAR, couldn't you?
I mean, that would be quite cool. I mean, let's talk about the marketing, because you spoke about like real world events, and we actually spoke about this before we came on, and the ability to connect with people, not only, you know, in the Web3 sense, but the traditional sense of face to face and networking and communicating. Like you touched on that, but then let's also touch on like what else could they expect in the run up to June, and then maybe around June time and post June. So like, what are your targets around marketing?
Yeah, it's a great question. I can't give all of the alpha, but look, we're pushing really hard for celebrity endorsements, which is naturally difficult after the year that's happened in crypto. But we've got some very interesting conversations at the moment. I'll kind of leave it there. We're being very strategic in our approach. The platform launches in June. I'm here now talking to you, and we're hiring an affiliate director. So we start building the network now, right? And by the time the platform launches, there will be hundreds upon hundreds and hundreds of affiliates and teams that people can use. There will be merch flying around everywhere. We're thinking about maybe even first 10,000 users above a certain threshold get a FOXIFY t-shirt. So we want the brand to just be super visible. And actually, you know, are we going to meet all of the people that use the platform in the next 6 months at these shows? Absolutely not. But what we're doing is getting out there in front of people, the big exchanges, the big incubators, the big accelerators, connecting with those people, because that's going to give us the 1000x exposure that we want by the time the big day comes.
I mean, let's talk about your competitors, because you did touch on it slightly there. Who are your competitors and what sets you apart from them?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't want to talk about particular people because there isn't really a direct match for what we're doing. But I suppose our total available market really is 200 trillion. We think about our long-term objectives. In fact, we're going up against decentralized exchanges, things like GMX and all of the competitors like that. We're tackling central exchanges at the same time, so that's direct competition. But also, and you know, this requires lots of strategic planning, thinking about regulation and so on. But also leveraging the blockchain to take on the big retail platforms, things like Robinhood, IG, for instance. Trying to think of the other one. eToro is another huge one. All of those platforms make up a $200 trillion a year market, and blockchain and Web3 has a huge opportunity to disrupt that space, and that's our goal. We're taking everybody on.
And how are you going to do that though? Through delivering a product or through your marketing? Because there's very different angles that you can go down. What is going to be your sole focus is to actually tap into that market?
Yeah, look, first and foremost, it's got to be huge awareness, huge exposure. You have to be unique, has to be something that's super user friendly, and you also have to be able to connect to people. That's super important. So all of the platform design and UI is about making it easy to use, accessible, and easy to understand as well. And then leveraging a huge network to deliver on that. On top of that, then the product roadmap's really important. So ensuring there's APIs so that you can drive volume through bots. We've got, you know, really ambitious goals to introduce a lot of automation driven by AI technology, where you can do things like auto hedging, for instance, once you've opened a position, or you could auto hedge between two different platforms. Remember, you've got a decentralized platform and you're a centralized platform trader as well. You've got an opportunity to hedge on positions that maybe you're not really fancying anymore. So combining that and then being able to automate that process will drive, you know, significant value through the platform. So, you know, FOXIFY is a game changer. Everything that we build on top of the platform will be designed to shake up that 200 trillion market.
No, that's nice. I mean, something that I'm extremely passionate about is education. And for me, very recently, I don't know if you saw it, you might not have. I've just announced that I'm delivering a free educational website with all free educational resources. You actually get a certificate at the end of the completion of the course for free. And we're trying to associate that with a college in the UK. So it's a level 1 qualification, totally free of charge.
Nice.
Now, I'm very, very big believer in barriers of entry into the crypto space are there, and we need to acknowledge them. We need to recognize them. And education to me, and breaking that bound, that down and away from, people's entry level needs to be removed. How do you plan on educating people around your product on a daily?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and so there's an academy already designed into what we're doing, and that's absolutely critical, and that's got to start really from the absolute basics. And one of the problems that we're also trying to solve is that trading is very hard. It has a lot of complexity, especially when you start trying to trade margin and perpetuals, and you have risk of liquidation. And quite often people lose on that journey, even though their inclination was correct. And so trading's super accessible, but then it's also super risky. And for me, that's a real paradox. So what we want is for it to be super accessible and to remove a lot of that risk, because there's nothing worse than saying, look, in almost everybody's prepared to take responsibility for their own sort of trades. There's nothing worse than being right in the trade, but you still lost because of a scam wick or exactly. And that's really, so yeah, educating from the start, huge network of content providers, but then also making sure that the process itself isn't littered with these little trapdoors that catch people out.
So we spoke about the educational point of view. So is there any other ways that as a company, as a business, that you can potentially remove any further barriers of entry then into your product? So let's just say this. So for many people, actually being informed about it is a key area thing. So what is your rollout plans in terms of like geographically? So like obviously me and you, we're UK based, and a lot of the people on here are not. So, what are your plans in the future to go internationally? Are you going to go into international markets? Is there going to be international integrations into your application? What are you thinking?
Yeah, look, it's a Web3 application. We're going to build it, and it goes online, and obviously, we work very diligently and responsibly with our legal advisors to make sure we're always on the right side of regulation. But it's not for us to. It shouldn't be for anybody actually to tell anyone what they do on the internet, to a certain degree. And obviously it's a global platform. I think there are we're not going to be pushing it directly to anywhere where there would be any regulatory restrictions, but obviously it's not for us to police the internet in every country either.
So I'm trying to push along to more like the languages used within the website, because in terms of barriers to entry, is that something that you would particularly look at, Arabic language, for example?
Good question, actually, and we do want it to be dual language. We want it to be sort of common Chinese, Mandarin, sort of Cantonese mix, as well as English from day one. We see Asia is a huge potential market, and like really engaged as well, and the gamification element, and they love character as well in that part of the world. Like we think it's something that will appeal heavily to those markets.
No, it's refreshing to hear, because removing those barriers of entry for people, you've almost got no excuse. You've got a solid product that you're delivering to international markets with a strong marketing plan, a strong team that have got experience, that have delivered with MDB. So, you've been there, you've done it. What else can we expect on that roadmap? And I am going to push you a little bit more on this question. Is there anything up your sleeve that you can maybe drop us a little bit of more intel on? Or what are the further developments within the integration of the app?
How much we're going to disrupt a $200 trillion market, but what else are you going to do?
We like to hear about version 2. What could be next? Yeah. Once you've built it, you launch it, that's great. But very often, I know in the back end, you're already working on version 2, version 3, updates of the application. So like, what can we expect to come in the future?
Look, I think it's all about automation and connectivity, so that you can connect into other platforms. There's a world even beyond sort of retail trading. There's a much bigger world beyond that, and I think anybody who's been in MDB for the last 9-10 months knows that we're not a fan of roadmaps for the sake of having roadmaps, right? We had our first roadmap in MDB. We smashed it in like 3 months. Our first roadmap, and then we're on like our third roadmap now. So we're very clear. We don't just pad out roadmaps because to try and cater to maybe people's lack of concentration. We have a very clear strategy. It's well thought through. We execute it. We deliver. And it delivers results, and we will keep repeating that process over and over again. And we're always stress testing what we do. Like I say, we'd launched 2 websites for MDB by the time we launched the token. Actually, we launched our a few people would do this. We launched our second version of our website on the day that we launched the token, just to make it a bit more stressful. So we're always sitting down, looking at where we are, and never getting complacent. I think that's probably something that we didn't mention. That's really sort of it's a big part of our culture as well. We're not ones to just sit back and get very comfortable with our surroundings. We're almost maybe a little bit insecure in a healthy way. We're always thinking, well, things might be good now, but you need to keep pushing the boundaries, and that's one thing that set us apart in this industry.
And I think that's why I wanted to push a little bit harder on once you launch. That's not just it. You've definitely got more developments coming. So alluding to some of them definitely helps investors, because knowing what's coming next after the launch is just as critical as the launch, because this is very often where a lot of projects, in my opinion, make the mistake of. It launches, the product's already out there, you see that hype, and then it quickly dies. But if you know that things are coming, you know that integrations are continuing to improve and it's going into further markets, then it's not going to. And there's further developments coming.
And I have a theory on that, Jamie. I think it's because a lot of people get into things wanting the destination rather than the journey. And I love the journey. I always say, if I was a dog, I'd be a husky, dragging a sleigh for 10 hours a day, and I'd just be happy doing that. So I think it can be a bit much for maybe the people around me sometimes, because they just like, look, can we just enjoy this for a little bit? But it's just an incessant habit of mine to just say, okay, well, how are we going to make this better? So I don't think there's no doubt that we'll ever become stagnant.
Awesome. So if I'm liking what I'm hearing here, and which I am, by the way, Danny, you've done a great job. How can I get about joining your community? How can I learn more information and just get involved in, getting excited with the hype of what's going to come in June?
Yeah. I would, step one, join Discord. Our Discord is absolutely insane. Even some of our we have 130 VIPs. So that's people that own more than 1 million tokens. So our spread as a protocol is really strong. We're not heavily reliant on a couple of people sort of holding up the protocol. It's a super engaged community. We have 12,000 Discord community members, and it's wild in there. So get in if you want a good time. It's a great place to hang out. Telegram's very quiet for us. We're not really big Telegram users. And also get onto our Twitter. But I'd join the Millionaires Club. Like I say, all you got to do, if you can afford it, all you got to do is be holding a minimum of $500 worth of MDB, and that gets you access to all of those other benefits. And you get to get into the inner circle. But I think we've got about 550 members in that club actually.
Wow,
it's been really successful. So
that's really healthy.
One thing I would say, it's easy to forget this because I spend time in our community all the time, and I always want to build something that I want to spend time in, and I go outside of our community, and it can be a little bit depressing in this industry at the moment. So if you want to feel the good times again, get an MDB server, and it'll feel like it's 2021.
Well, I'm going to join just because you've got a mindfulness coach, because sometimes I feel like I need that little pick me up. So that's going to do the job.
She'll be in London. We get her to pep talk you, Jamie.
That'll be nice. I'd like that. I think we're going to meet as well in London in person. So, people, if you want to follow that journey, we'll definitely document it on Twitter and stuff like that and have a bit of fun with it. So, but for me, Danny, I think you're doing a great job. I would like you to drop me some alpha on MDB, because I like to get something from this. So that is something that people can go out there and they can check out right now. They can join the community. Is there anything that you can drop to us as a community right now that stuff might be coming, stuff might be happening? Because we like that kind of intel, Danny, over here.
Yeah. I'm always concerned about we don't drop anywhere near as much alpha as a lot of people, because we're very serious about making sure we deliver. So I'm trying to think. Good alpha. Look at MDB. Do a bit of analysis. Look at the chart. Look at our market cap. Look at the performance that we've delivered, and my personal goal is that FOXIFY delivers $1 million a day in fees. MDB will get 25% of those fees. So that's that gets you a feel. Now, there's nothing wrong with not quite meeting your ambitions in life, but our ambitions are always big. So I'd get behind that. But we're very big on the celebrity endorsement front. So I don't want to give too many specifics, but we are in discussion with an individual who's a global top 20 athlete at the moment. But I don't even like saying that, to be honest, because it's until it's done, it's not done, right?
So you don't like dropping alpha, but you just dropped about 6 different alpha bombs. So appreciate that, Danny. You give us a lot.
Insecurity. I'm like, it's not enough. I'm not doing enough.
No, you've given us plenty there. So I really do appreciate it. I've got to say, I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Thoroughly enjoyed spending time. You're learning about not only the new project that you've launched today, but your initial product as well. This is a person and a team that have done it. They're doing it. They're making money in the bear market, and they're building the right way. I think hats off to you. You're doing a great job. I hope this isn't the last we see of you on this channel. I'll do a recap for everybody. If you just want to give a quick plug to your website so they can know where they can find more information, please, Danny, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. So so you can go mdb.fund. We've just launched actually the FOXIFY sort of V1 of the website, even though the platform launches in June. We have launched that today, and we'll be launching our social channels today because it's our brand launch. So you can go to foxify.trade, but go to mdb.fund. The website looks brilliant, actually, the new version we launched today. Get in the community. Look on Xenia. Look at the APYs on Xenia. The farms have been plus 100% for 6 months on a token that's pumping. So yeah, just look at the facts. That would be my advice.
I mean, hopefully everybody's enjoyed it within the comment section. The comments have been very positive. To give you a recap of the numbers that people that have tuned in, 8,800 people, 88,000 likes. Thank you so much to everybody that's jumped on this live stream. That'll probably sneak up to around 10,000 by the time people watch it on replays, Danny. So you've done a great job in 56 minutes of portraying who you are, what you're about, your teams. Well done, mate. So if you just stay where you are, I'll end the live stream. We can catch up. But on behalf of me, thank you so much for jumping on and feeling that you can come on here and share yourself as you have done today.
Good stuff. Cheers, Jamie.
No worries, mate. 2 seconds, bud.